Yeah, Ms. Bamer, she's virtual.
We're only up to, well, yes, we do. I'm sorry. I apologize. Oh, well, that was that worst one.
Six is enough anyway.
Yeah. Oh, Hopewell, yeah.
Thank you, miss. Okay.
Okay, we're ready. Good evening. Welcome to the July 21st, 2021 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. At this time, I would request that everyone please turn off or mute all electronic devices. Also at this time, I would invite everyone to stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Where's Craig? Applications for conditional use permit request and rezoning requests will be heard during tonight's meeting, and the commission will vote on these applications and make a recommendation to the county council. The applications will then be scheduled to be introduced before the county council at the Monday, August 9th, 2021 county council meeting. Public comment for for conditional use permit requests will be taken during tonight's meeting and at the council meeting on Monday, August 9th, 2021. Public comment on conditional use permit applications will not be taken at any meeting of the county council held thereafter. Application for preliminary plats heard during tonight's meeting will also be voted on by the Planning and Zoning Commission during the meeting. The vote on preliminary plats is final. Only a recommendation for denial of a preliminary plat would be heard before the county council at their Monday, August the 9th, 2021 meeting. The following documents are introduced as a matter of record for this evening's public hearing and regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Those documents are the Unified Development Ordinance of St. Charles County, including zoning maps, and the year 2030 Master Plan for St. Charles County, which includes the year 2030 Future Land Use Plan map. I see that we have a quorum. Is there a motion to open the meeting?
Motion.
So is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
Okay. I'll go through some more preliminary items, but I will let everyone know that Commissioner Barr is with us virtually this evening. So you may hear this voice coming out of the roof ceiling up here. That's Commissioner Barr. She's at home, not feeling the best, and felt it was best for her to stay home this evening. How we will proceed, I will read into the record the application. Then I will ask the staff for their report and recommendations. And at that time, the commissioners may have questions for staff. Then we will have the applicant to come forward, okay, and present their application, and then answer any questions that the commission may have. Then we will open the meeting up, have a public hearing for that application, okay? Anyone wishing to speak regarding the application can come forward during the public hearing. Now, I will tell everyone that if you come forward to speak, I have to swear you in. So when I say please raise your right hand. Once we have closed the public hearing, we will take no more comments from the public, and then we may or may not ask the applicant to come back and address any concerns or issues that arose as part of the public hearing. And then at that time, the commission will discuss the application and then proceed to vote. If you are going to speak, please fill out one of these cards. They're over here on the table. Please fill this out, put it in our little collection box. This way, it ensures that we get your name correct in our minutes, because those are public records. Okay. As part of the public hearing, we will provide an opportunity for interested parties to speak. However, if we get 3 to 4 people coming to talk about the same thing, okay? If you come to talk about, well, this is going to increase traffic, well, after the third person, we understand that point, okay? So please limit your comments, okay? And speak to the application and try not to be repetitive of the person before you. Okay? The first item on the agenda is a rezoning request. The location is 1371 Silvers Road. The application number is RZ 21-11. The property owner is Darren M. Ziegenmeyer. The current zoning is A, agricultural district with floodway fringe overlay district. The requested zoning is light industrial district with floodway fringe overlay district. The 2030 master plan recommends industrial uses. The parcel size is 8.08 acres of an 11.08 acre parcel. It's located on the northwest corner of Salt River Road and Silvers Road. It's located in Council District 6. Staff.
All right. First of all, on this property, I believe it just stated from agricultural district to I-1. This is currently zoned both agricultural and heavy industrial. So I would like to point that out. The property is the remainder, as it mentioned, of an 11.08 acre tract. The owner was able to remove 3 acres under the agricultural district and simply split the parcel without having to plat. It is a consideration that we do have in the Unified Development Ordinance. So the remainder tract, the 8.08 acres, they are asking for I-1 zoning, which includes both an upzoning from A to I-1, agricultural to I-1, and also a downzoning from I-2 down to I-1. In this consideration, you may have read the staff report. There is an agreement, a memorandum of agreement between the City of St. Peters and the county to only allow up to a certain amount of industrial development along this Salt River Road corridor that this is also located on. It's at the corner of Silvers and Salt River Road. The reasoning was we did not want to increase floodplain development. And it is important to keep in mind the floodplain overlay will not be changed by this rezoning request. It remains in place. So any development would have to take any floodplain consideration and development into consideration. So with that, it is a 1,000-foot limit from the railroad tracks that you see right there, a limit to the north along that corridor. This property has the northern piece up here is approximately 1,100 feet north of the railroad track. In that downzoning consideration for this area right here, that I-2, there's a lot of items, permissive uses that would not be allowed in a lighter industrial zoning. Examples could be acid manufacturing, other heavy chemical manufacturing, things that are just permissive in I-2 would not be allowed in this I-1 district. Any development also for consideration on this property. There are no services, no utilities. There's no, there would only be a septic system available, and I believe it's on well if they did develop for any reason. So any industrial development would more than likely have to access City of St. Peters utilities for that development. The last consideration that staff looked at was the future land use plan. As I mentioned before, when we were redoing the 2030 land use plan. Nothing had really changed in this area with agreement and consideration from the city of St. Peters and the city of O'Fallon further to the west. Development from Silvers Road West was considered to be potential industrial development, with development to the right remaining an agricultural use. So staff did look at that land use consideration. With all of that in mind, staff is recommending approval based on the land use plan primarily. It also should be noted that the Arrowhead Industrial Park is directly across and to the southwest of this, and further to the west. So it would probably be an expansion of that park if any development would take place. If it stayed unincorporated county, with our history, it's more than likely going to become a storage facility. I don't know for sure, but that's about all we could allow for development and use in the light industrial zoning. So staff is recommending that you recommend approval on this.
Any questions for staff?
So you did say it is both heavy industrial and agricultural. Is it delineated, or does it have overlaying zoning on throughout the parcel?
Well, if you look right there, that little area.
Okay, that's the part, yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Just want to, okay.
Yeah. It's approximately 1.3 acre remainder. There was 1.5 acres originally. The thoroughfare plan took out approximately 0.2 acres.
Right, but now we're looking to all the area that's highlighted in the black to be the new zoning, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Hearing none, we'll ask the, go ahead.
Just curious, with it abutting an agricultural district, and it was to develop, let's say, in the county and not St. Peters through annexation, would it be required to have some type of buffer yard or adjacent to the agricultural zoning?
Well, landscaping would be required for any front yard, and with it having boundaries along Silvers and Salt River Road, that part would probably be landscaped. There would also be buffering between
on
the
backside.
residences, between these residences
Yep.
and that area. So just about everything except to the north would be buffered and landscaped.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question. Could you re-explain the agreement that the county had made with the city of St. Peters about this particular area? What was the gist of that?
Okay, from what I understand, in the mid-2000s, the 370 levee system was going in and developing, and that corridor was developing. There was an agreement between the county and St. Peters that there wouldn't be any more expansion such as that, creating more levees further to the west and concentrating that floodplain further north. They wanted to protect it.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll ask the applicant to come forward. Good. Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Darren M. Ziegemeyer, 1371 Silvers Road. It's my old, you want my new address? 'Cause I just moved.
That'll work.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
I'm just trying to rezone. I sold up 3 acres with my house. That was my grandparents' old farm. And I had that broke off, and I had remainder property there. And I'm just trying to bring more value to my property. And when I was selling my house, that was one thing the counties said was in the recommendation of the 2020-30 plan, was to have it rezoned light industrial. So I thought it was a good time to bring more value to my property, to go ahead and go through while I was already splitting the property, to go ahead and bring the rezoning in for if I wanted to do something future down the road, to get it rezoned now while I was already in the process.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Hearing none? Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
We will now open the public hearing for application RZ 21-11. Anyone here wishing to speak?
Yes, good evening. My name is Robert Ginn.
Hold on.
I'm sorry, got ahead of myself.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
I will.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Robert Guinness. I'm an attorney. My office is at 50 Hill Point Court here in St. Charles, and I represent Silvers Road LLC.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
We're opposed to the application. Silvers Road LLC is owned by August Bush, and he is, as I said, strongly opposed to this, and there are many reasons why. But I do want to address the issue, Commissioner Hunter, you had about that memorandum of understanding with the city. How that came about is that St. Peter started to develop 370, and part of that development was an extension of a connector road all the way out to Highway 79, which is now Salt River Road. And the county was asked to sign a conditional letter of map revision too late. And so they sued. The county and the city had a lawsuit about it. And so they resolved the lawsuit saying, okay, city, you can build this connector, but don't build it more than 1,000 feet north of the railroad, and don't have any development north of that road, because they didn't want to see what happened to 370, that the road becomes a vehicle for further development in the floodplain. And what we're going to ask you tonight is to use Salt River Road as the demarcation line between further development in the floodplain. Only that way can you really carry out the intent of that memorandum. The 1,000 feet has nothing to do about the road, it's just that where that road could be placed. There's nothing in that agreement that says that's where the development line should be. That's our take on that. Staff is focused on technical issues, but I want to focus you on more important human factors. Some of the things that you have to look at in making your vote today is, will the rezoning decrease the value of the surrounding properties? Is the property well adapted now for its proposed use? Will the rezoning clash and be detrimental to the existing agricultural and residential uses? And in general, will the rezoning harm the health, safety, and welfare of the people in the surrounding properties? We've submitted about a dozen opposition letters from the people in the surrounding area who are also strongly opposed to this rezoning. One of the reasons is it's going to devalue their property. As you can see, there are 3 residential houses right to the east of this property. Those people have lived there, and your decision tonight will affect how they live in the future. They don't want an industrial use right in their backyard. Secondly, this parcel is not well suited for industrial. Although the master plan does show west of Silvers Road as being industrial in the future, that's only a guide. You have to look at what's happened now. Well, what's happened now? Salt River Road is now a 4-lane road, 45 miles an hour, with a nearly blind curve there right at Silvers Road. It also sits much lower than the level of the road, about 4 or 5 feet down into the floodplain. If there's development here, and they raise that parcel with fill, it's going to flood Silvers Road. And right now, anytime there's a 5-inch rain event, Silvers Road floods, and those people have to get there by boats. Rezoning this will only exacerbate that problem. In addition, the report doesn't address that there are actually high power tension lines on the western edge of that road, right about where the industrial use is. And that would further impact any industrial development of this property. As I said, the rezoning will be detrimental to the existing residential uses. Silvers Road is the gateway to a lot of these residences, and if that's an industrial use, it's going to cause a problem. Also, right now, traffic there is a problem. It takes a long time to get out of Silvers Road as it is. If there's further dense industrial use there, it's going to be very difficult, and it creates a danger, hazard danger. You really can't fit a turn lane there because of the radius and the deep drop off into the floodplain. Going to the master plan, yeah, I recognize that it says industrial, but if you look at the policies, the strategies, and the issues raised in that master plan and apply them to the situation today, you would come to the exact opposite conclusion that industrial is the right zoning for this. The master plan says that this is just one of the last 3 agricultural areas in the county, and that agricultural area needs to be protected from further industrial development. And that agriculture is an important use in the county. I mentioned the stormwater issues. The master plan says you're supposed to look at the effect of stormwater and where it's going to go. This will only make the problem of stormwater much, much worse. You can say, yeah, they can have detention ponds, but the master plan also says that you must consider that the fact that these private stormwater detention ponds don't really last very long. And in fact, they mentioned Arrowhead. Arrowhead has a detention pond on the other side of the road, but now it's just a forest. It's no longer a detention pond. You need to take those considerations into your vote now rather than later. Master plan says that floodplains and other hazard areas should be kept free of development. And that is also recognized in that memorandum of understanding. If you apply these factors, you wouldn't say that this is a prime industrial use. It's agricultural use. And if you take a look at the photograph that's in the staff report, you can see how very low this property sits. You will probably hear from a lot of the neighbors tonight how they are opposed to it, how it's going to be a detriment to how they live there, how it's going to diminish their value of their property. I know Mr. Ziegemeyer wants to increase the value of his one parcel, but by doing that, you're going to decrease the value of so many other parcels along that road. And you need to take that substantial issue into effect. That is why I'm asking that you be the guardians of these human factors and recommend to the county council that they deny the rezoning application. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak regarding this application? Anyone?
I got a card signed up here. Very nicely.
No hurry.
Take your time.
Good evening.
Okay, please.
Wayne Onlorf.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or in the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Wayne Onlendorf, 1360 Silver Road.
Go ahead, Wayne.
Okay, this is kind of hard for us, for me particularly, because Darren is a really good friend. And I don't like doing anything to oppose Darren per se, but like I said, I have to speak out on this one. If you can, his property, you can see where it is, the property right to the right of it there, that's all our field. Darren's entire property drains through that field. And if you look at that picture there, you can kind of see that darker area curving there. That's his whole drainage that comes right through our field. Now, needless to say, asphalt does not absorb any water. So anything we get built down there is going to make the water thing run even worse, and worse. I used to be on the St. Peter's Drainage Board, which you can't see it beyond that picture, is our main ditch down there, is ditch number 1. Arrowhead dumps like 4 big pipes into it, and we get actually no tax benefits from Arrowhead whatsoever. But what it does, it fills ditch number 1 up, and all these ditches up here can't drain till ditch number 1 drains. Like I said, I know you're going to have to build that property up, because if I wanted to build a house there, you'd make me come up 4 feet, 5 feet, whatever floodplain requires. So these new buildings you're going to have, they're going to do the same thing. And like all we're asking for, I don't particularly oppose the development of the property for light commercial. I just got to fight it for the drainage part of the property. It's going to throw a lot of water down our way that we can't take care of right now. And that's my biggest proposal, biggest opposition to this parcel.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Jim Ollendorf, 1324 Silvers Road, right down from my brother there, obviously. And, well, you don't want to harp on the water thing, but that is the main concern too. But also, it's become quite popular, Silvers Road has too, for bicyclers and traffic and stuff. And I farm, for a living too. And it's almost impossible to get out on Silvers Road with a grain truck right now. Between in the morning and in the evening, you almost got to plan it for during the day. And the Silvers Road's become quite popular for bicyclists. I mean, any Sunday morning or Saturday morning, I don't have any idea how many hundreds go up and down there. It makes it difficult enough. But then also Silvers Road, when the Mississippi comes up and blocks off the other end of Silvers Road from Highway C, that's the only way out, the only route out for everybody that lives down below there. And you put a development up there with trailer trucks coming in and out or whatever, or, whatever could be developed for, that just enhances the issue. And I've lived there all my life and stuff. And like I say, I'm just like Wayne. I don't have anything against Darren and them. I appreciate them trying to increase the value of their property. I don't blame anybody for that. But the fact is, when he sells it, he's going to be gone, and we're still going to be there. So that's about all I got to say.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Well, a lot of my complaint is what they've already said.
Ma'am, come up this way a little bit, okay?
I'm
Now-
sorry.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Patricia Coomer, and my address is 4951 Salt River Road.
Okay, go ahead, Patricia.
The water, let me revert back to when y'all put that highway in, and I stood in my front yard, and this woman was explaining to me how the water was going to run off at the end of my yard. And there is a concrete runoff, but the water can't get there because it's uphill. And I tried to explain that to her too, but I have witnessed many, and this is part of what's going to happen if you do it again. People come down the road, they hit the water pool, and they lose their traction, so they're now floating. And then we have what they call yard dogs, very slow-powered tractors, and they pull fully loaded trailers. They can't stop, and they can't go very fast, and these little cars are out there floating, and here comes a yard dog, and I've seen it. I've seen them leave the 2 lanes, go to the oncoming lane to avoid hitting a car. It used to be a little bit comical till we got to realizing that car goes under that trailer, everybody in that car is dead. There's no stopping it. They don't have good brakes, they don't have good power, and this happens over and over all day and all night. So that to me is a big issue. Also, your map and this map are not the same. This map shows an acre behind my house that is not included on that map. My question is, what will that be? How will it play? Will that be a landlocked acre that nobody is responsible for, or will it be sold and then work the problem out?
We'll have to ask.
Where is this?
Where'd you get the map?
You mailed it?
We mailed it, okay.
Okay, let me show you.
If you want to put it right there.
Yeah,
on
put
that-
it-
Right there on that.
There?
Yeah, it'll try to show up.
That'll come on.
It'll come up. I'll bring it
It'll
up.
come up?
There it is, right there. So now you can point to it.
Okay. My house is, it's in there somewhere. It's upside down, that's why I can't tell where it is. Okay. My house is right here. That really silly shaped, pie-shaped piece of land. Well, this shows up here as not being included. If you look back at your other map, you'll see that it is included.
I still don't. We'll have to ask.
Does have a bump out.
Mm-hmm.
I see it.
That map's wrong. On the actual rezoning, it goes all the way to that property line.
Yeah, so
Okay.
They must have sent you, they sent you the wrong drawing. They drew it wrong, that's all.
Okay.
We have it right on this, right, that we have.
So I will have an industrial park right at my house with nighttime horns honking. Somebody opened the dock door. We needed to, unload. And fumes possibly, which we already have. Voltrex or Voltrex, I believe, Voltrex, have fumes, and what it is, they're cleaning the air up in their warehouse. And the fumes come out to us.
Right.
We smell it. And I don't know what it is. Could be toxic, I don't know. But those are my issues. And I also like Darren. I just don't like this.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to speak?
While he's coming up, can I ask Ellie, right now it's zoned for industrial, right? A portion of it. What can they put on there now? The way it's zoned, if it's currently zoned for industrial,
Yeah.
The portion that is currently zoned I-2,
Right.
That's the most expansive industrial zoning. So permissive uses, the only ones I could think, they're all heavy.
yeah.
You could also do a waste landfill there now. You could do, trying to think of some others, chemical manufacturing, firearm manufacturing, heavy artillery manufacturing, basically, as long as you get the state's approval for a blast zone. But, oh, thank you.
Barge repair, biological product manufacturing, clay refactory manufacturing, coal mining. I mean, there's, heavy stuff.
So if they develop the property, are they going to have to build it up 3 to 4 feet, or how many feet will they have to build it up to build?
Right, the considerations would be the floodplain issues, also the utilities are the primary. There are no utilities such as water or sewer. So invariably, when you approach a city for their services, their utilities, you will have to annex in and become a part of the city.
Yep.
And how many acres is that area that's that current zone?
I-2.
What's the breakup now?
Yeah, of the,
The I-2, how much is I-2?
The I-2 is approximately 1.3 acres.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
Correct.
Yeah. And the rest is agricultural.
Is agricultural, correct. So there would be the down zoning and then the up zoning.
Well, sir. You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Rod Redding.
Ryan? Is that
Rod.
Rod?
Rod.
Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to be a little redundant if you'll let me on water, because it's, to me, it's our biggest enemy that's down there. If we would go back 20 years ago on Darden Creek, and if we would catch a 5-inch rain, the talk the next day would be, hey, did you see how high the creek's going to get, or how high did it get? We catch that same rain today, it's not how high is it going to get, but where is it running over? And once it runs over on Highway C, if it doesn't, it will breach those levees, but if it doesn't break those levees, then it's going to back up, it's going to hit the train trestle in Old Town St. Peters, backs up, and it will come over Salt River Road. It's done it, and it'll do it again. Where it comes over is where this property lies, through there. The lowest part where it goes is through the fields. The houses are higher. That property is built up. The houses are the next one to catch the blunt. It's, the water's the enemy, and so it's going to happen. And that's our main point.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions? Okay, thank you, sir. you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or in the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Perry Drexage, 1200 Silvers Road, St. Peters.
Go ahead, Perry.
Well, just to add what Rod was saying there, and I think it was, don't get my dates just exactly right, but I think it was in 2018, they had Darden Creek come up, flooded, closed Highway 70 completely down. I'm sure everybody remembers, all the newspapers and everything around. And all that water comes down there, and it actually goes underneath, well, like I said, underneath the railroad trestle, and it come over Silvers Road, or Salt Lick Road. The new road that they put in, it actually topped it, was coming over like 6 inches deep, just about in the spot where they're wanting to build. When they put in this new road, they took down the old levee that used to protect us, and they put the road in lower. Salt River Road is lower than the old levee that used to protect us. So when the creek come up that high, it actually come over the road and run across almost exactly where they're wanting to put this our commercial property. That's I just wanted to add that to what Rod had said.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak regarding this application? Anyone? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing, and we will ask the applicant to come back. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir.
I have
Go
one.
ahead.
So, in the application, I believe I saw that there was no future plans that were imminent right now. What would be your thoughts of what you potentially would be doing if you were to do something in the future?
I was thinking maybe a storage lot. I don't know. It all depends what gets brought to my attention. I'm in no hurry to sell the property right now. Like I said earlier, I was told that this was part of the county's master plan. I was already in the process of rezoning to sell my property. I had to split it up, and county brought to my attention that it was going there. I talked to a few people. It was in my best interest financially to go ahead and rezone it. As of right now, I have no plans or ideas or dreams of anything going there right now.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Can I make one more comment?
Go ahead.
To Mr. Bush's lawyer, the Bush family also in the floodplain, not hardly about an eighth of a mile up the road, was able to fill that in and put a marijuana plant in. And now they want to fight other people to rezone. I just don't see the hypocrisy in there that he wants to make the argument on that situation.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I address that? That's a different family. That's not my client. That's not August Bush III.
It's his brother.
Now,
That's okay.
now,
That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's fine. A lot of bushes. We gotta keep them situated and straight.
And how family is.
Okay, we will bring application RZ 21-11 back to the commission for consideration. Any questions, comments, questions of staff?
Yeah, I think at this point, I think that while industrial may come about, I think it's premature. I think if you look at the map, it's fairly clearly divided between the developed along the, I guess it's the west side of Salt Road. And I think while it may eventually develop that way, I think it's premature, and maybe by 2030 it will be, but I think it'd be premature to zone it that way at this point.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve RZ 21-11. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Ms. Mayor makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cornwell makes the second. Okay. Mr. Cleary, how do you vote?
No.
Mr. Fromm?
no.
Ms. Barr, how do you vote? No. Mr. Jackson?
No.
Mr. Hollander?
No.
Ms. Bamer?
No.
And I vote no. Okay. Application doesn't pass.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, this goes to the county council on their August 9th meeting, okay? This is only a recommendation to the county council. The county council has the ultimate decision and the ultimate authority. So this will be on their agenda on the August 9th meeting. So if you're aware of that. Okay.
Yeah, and just a reminder, that would just be for the first consideration, then it would be 2 weeks later before it would actually be voted on. Okay.
Okay?
If you guys who were just here for the first one want to leave, feel free, take a
Yeah,
seat.
Okay, the next on our agenda is project on Josephine Road. There's 2 conditional use permits and 2 plats. And at staff's recommendation, we're going to go a little bit out of order and consider the plats first. Is that what we're going to do? Okay. So this is a preliminary plat, make sure I got the first one. Preliminary plat for 2015 Josephine subdivision, application number PRE 21-11. The property owner developer is Birdie Incorporated. Engineer surveyor is Premier Design Group. The property zoning is light industrial district. Proposed lots is 2. Parcel size is 16.9 acres. The location is on the west side of Josephine Road, south of Mexico Road, and east of the General Motors plant, located in Council District 1. Staff.
All right. On this presentation here, just to give you an idea of where this property is located, 215 Josephine is a broad area. There's several different properties right now that are called 215 Josephine. We do have it out to 911 emergency services to start addressing them separately. So, but for right now, we're referring to this as 215 Josephine. Here is the GM plant directly to the west of this property. Highway A separates, and if I put on the zoning, you can see that this is all the city of Wentzville, and then this is all still unincorporated and is zoned light industrial. So the property right here, the first application for the preliminary plat is to divide well, this is turned, maybe this will help you if I do this. Yeah, I've got it upside down, sorry. Okay, now if you're totally confused, no, I'm still, all right, there we go. So this is just lot 1 and lot 2 of that property. And it's just simply dividing the property into 2 pieces. Lot 2 is, let's see, it's 7.5 acres, and the remainder, approximately 9 acres, remains on lot 1 for by this owner. So this is the first plat. It's just simply dividing the parcel into 2 separate parcels, 2 lots. Staff has reviewed it for technical consideration. There are no issues. They will have to work with our highway department for commercial entrances for development, and that is the only requirement left. Now, the only other thing is at a later date, Wentzville may be developing this area. They have indicated that they would be asking for right-of-way. County has no consideration. We understand that, and we do want to make that comment to the applicant so that they are aware when they are developing that at a later date, the city of Wentzville may ask them for additional right-of-way. But the county has no jurisdiction to ask for that. It is not in our county development plan or the highways plan. They are not asking for any right-of-way at this time. So staff is recommending approval with that condition that they still obtain entrance permits from the county highway department.
Any questions for staff?
So the Highway A then is a county highway, not a state highway, correct?
No, Highway A is a state highway.
Okay, and so
Josephville
wouldn't
Road
it would
is-
also require MoDOT's approval, correct, for access?
Well, I don't believe they would be, if they did want to access from Highway A, there is a pipeline easement going across the back of these properties. Typically, you're not going to get permission to put a major entrance, heavy entrance like that over a pipeline entrance. So I think they will always be accessing from Josephville Road.
Okay.
The city of Wentzville has a thoroughfare plan that I believe they're still working on, but their plan for the future, I don't know if that's 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, but Josephville would become a more major thoroughfare.
Thank you.
Are there plans to expand the width of Josephville Road, or?
That would be in the city's thoroughfare plan. The county
The
has
Wentzville?
no plans to expand the right-of-way at this time.
But that would be Wentzville's decision?
Correct.
Any questions for staff? Hearing none, I'll ask the applicant to come forward.
I'm going to use my left if you don't mind.
We'll do it with the- You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Justin Winters with Premier Design Group, 100 Midland Park Drive, Wentzville, Missouri, 63385.
Go ahead, Justin.
Yep, I'm here tonight for the proposed subdivision plat you have before you to split the one parcel into two as depicted in the exhibit shown above. And I guess I would be happy to answer any questions if you have any. Also with me tonight is Beth Lum, who may have some additional information to speak on.
Any questions?
Both parcels going to be, if I read it correctly, zoned the same, though? You're going to split the parcels, but zoned the same?
Correct. They're both existing zoning of I-1 light industrial and shall remain as such.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you. You'll be back, so. Okay. You solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Elizabeth Lum. I am at 120 South Central Avenue, Suite 700, St. Louis, Missouri, 63105. I'm here as counsel for applicants, both Josephville Road LLC and the applicant for PRE 2112, which is Wilkie Properties LLC. If I could be allowed to segue for just a moment here to explain the project as a whole.
Okay.
Because it's about 4 steps, all of which are kind of similar. And let's see, there we go, I'm sorry. Oh, and which one do I click?
Right now, we're just dividing the lots from 1 to 2.
Yes, yeah, I'm trying to get through to.
It's pre-2111.
Yes, I'm trying to use your little clicker.
She's talking about the presentation you're going to
Yes,
do.
and I'm sorry.
Here comes some help.
It's the right
Right?
one.
Okay, got it. No, it's beeping at me. Oh, the other right. Thank you. You're welcome. All right, so the overall project actually involves items 2 through 5 on your agenda tonight, which are conditional use permits to operate a ready-mix plant, a conditional use permit for some outdoor storage, and then subdividing the property into 2 lots, and then further subdividing it into 2 sublots.
Okay.
The property, as Ms. Marr explained, is at 215 Josephville Road. Right now, it's about 16 acres. It's got Josephville Road directly to the east, Highway A is to the west. The entire parcel is currently zoned as I-1, which is light industrial. The item we're addressing now, which is the application for the preliminary plat 2111, this is proposing simply to split the 16 acres into 2 lots, with one being about 7.5 acres and the other containing the balance. And then the 2 lots, or excuse me, Lot 2 will be further subdivided into lots 2A and 2B. The proposed Lot 1 will be retained by Birdie Inc. It's not really involved in these proceedings. The proposed Lot 2A will be the subject of CUP 2111, which is the conditional use permit for the ready-mix plant. And then the proposed Lot 2B, which is CUP 2112, will be the conditional use permit for the outdoor storage.
Okay.
So, hope that kind of provides a little bit for you. I do have a presentation for.
Well, we'll wait till we get to that. 'Cause
Oh, well, I was gonna say I had one for the plats, but
I don't think,
I
yeah.
think Justin got it. And just to confirm, the properties will be accessed from Josephine Road. I do not believe there are any intentions to provide for access on Highway A. Is that correct? All right, thank you.
Okay. Now we'll open the public hearing for PRE 21-11. Anyone here wishing to speak regarding this application? Anyone? This is dividing the plat, this is, yeah. This is the plat.
So this is the
Okay.
first one, just to divide into 2, the
Divide it-
one,
divide it-
to divide the 1 into the 2.
Yeah, right, correct, okay. So, seeing no one,
No, you're fine. I'm sorry.
you're good, you're good, you're good. No, seeing no one else, we're gonna close the public hearing for, PRE 21-11, that's the preliminary plat, for 2015 Josephine Road. We, anybody don't need the applicant back? Any questions for staff?
Yeah, I'm just thinking with the trucks that are going down there, is there any kind of study in terms of the road, impact on the road, on Josephville's Road? Has any of that been analyzed in this?
No, they did not generate any need for a traffic impact analysis. That would be the county highway department.
Okay.
That would be responsible for the road maintenance.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Okay, that's this one. Oh, okay. Any other questions for staff? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion to approve PRE 21-11.
Motion.
Hold on here, I don't see a sheet for that. Nope, we're gonna do this. Okay, Mr. Holler made the motion, Mr. Fromm seconded. Ms. Baber, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Clary?
Yes.
Mr. Fromm?
Yes.
Mr. Hollander?
Yes.
Mr. Cornwell?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Bauer? Yes. And I vote yes. Okay, put that over there. So that passes. The next item on the agenda is PRE 21-12, preliminary plat for re-subdivision of Lot 2 of 2015 Josephine subdivision. The property owner developer is Birdie Incorporated. The applicant is James M. Lozey of Josephine Road LLC. Property zoning is light industrial district. Proposed lots is 2. Parcel size is 7.5 acres of 16.9 acres. The location is on the west side of Josephville Road, south of Mexico Road, and east of the General Motors plant. Located in Council District 1. Staff.
All right, so you saw where it was divided into 2 lots. So now, Lot 2, this is would be called a re-subdivision plat of Lot 2 of the previous 215 Josephville. So it's important that we record the first one first, and then they can move to 5 minutes later, record this one. But we do have to do it in this order. So basically, it's dividing that lot into 2 separate lots, which would be 3 acres and 4.49 acres. Staff is recommending approval. Again, it's with the comment and the awareness on the behalf of the applicants that the future development on Josephville Road may require widening of the road by the city of Wentzville. And also, currently, they would have to obtain their entrance permits from the county highway department.
Okay. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, we'll have the applicant to come forward. This is just on the plat. Yes, not the CUP, just the plat. Do you solemnly swear or affirm you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes, I do.
State your name and address for the record.
Jim Losey, 323 Josephville Road,
Okay.
Wentzville, 63385.
Go ahead, Jim.
Bruce and I have gone in together on that piece of property. I currently own and rent a piece of property that's right next to it and have a concrete plant on there to service like General Motors in the Wentzville area. This property became available, and so we've put a contract on it. Would like to put my new office on there, which I'm sure we'll show a little bit about, and a garage for some maintenance stuff, and then put our existing concrete plant that is right there, just move it over a couple hundred yards and put it back up.
Any questions for the applicant?
And if I could add, sir, and I don't mean to interrupt, but we have been at this facility, I believe, since 2002, 2003. So we've been there for, knocking on 20 years on that location.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Anything else?
No. We will now open the public hearing for PRE 21-12. This is the re-subdivision of Lot 2 of 2015 Josephville subdivision. Anyone here wishing to speak regarding this application? Anyone? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. Anyone have any questions for the applicant or the staff? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve PRE 21-12. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Cornwell made the motion. Ms. Mayor made the second. Mr. Cleary, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Barr? Jennifer? I may have lost her. Oh, well. Mr. Holler, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Bamer?
Yes.
Mr. Fromm?
Yes.
Mr. Cornwell?
Yes.
And Ms. Barr? One more time? Well, we will. Pardon?
Just trying to reach.
Might be muted. All right.
I vote yes, and it passes. Okay, now we're back to, let's see, let me, the next point on our agenda. Now we're back to the CUPs, okay? So this is a conditional use permit request, 2015 Josephville Drive Lot 2A, application CUP 21-11. The property owner is Birdie Incorporated. The applicant is James M. Losey. For Josephine Road LLC, requested use, a ready-mix concrete operation and batch plant. Property zoning is light industrial district. CUP area is 4.5 acres. The location is 2015 Josephine Road, northern half of Lot 2A, on the west side of Josephine Road, south of Mexico Road, and east of the General Motors plant, located in Council District 1. Staff.
All right, so back to that division that Mr. Lozey was talking about. The northern parcel would be the Lot 2A, proposed Lot 2A. Now, the applicant has submitted a separate concept plan that is not in a color rendition, which would go for ordinance hearing, but I'm going to go ahead and use the rendering with both properties on there, just zooming in on each one. Hopefully you can better see what's going on with the development. But as mentioned, the proposed conditional use is for a cement mixing and batch plant. So what the applicant is proposing is an office building towards the front of the property, a shop and garage towards the middle portion of the property, the batch plant area and the materials storage with washout, truck parking, and such. Detention stormwater area would be towards the back of this property. And as I mentioned, there is that pipeline easement running along kind of as a boundary between there and Highway A, and there's heavily wooded area also back there. So staff, the only consideration we will probably be working a little closer on the actual site plan development is whether or not they're going to choose to change their parking a little bit around this building. I'm not sure about their development here, and we will work with them on that, but better to prepare now for 5 to 10 years down the road than to be crushed and have to sell property right-of-way area to Wentzville and be trying to change things up at that time. So it will be up to them on their development, but they are meeting the 35-foot setback. They are showing 2 entrances. Again, I'm not sure if this is going to be the exact entrance with a drive-through area and the landscaping because of the setback and the additional setback we may ask them to propose with the site development. But staff is recommending approval of this concrete and batch plant. That, as mentioned before, they do operate further to the north right now. We have not received any complaints about that property. We will be also asking for a wet wash-off area before they access Josephine Road, which may be an improvement over what they have right now further to the north, but to keep any of that asphalt material or any of those other materials off of the road and further damaging Josephine Road.
Any questions for staff?
How far north of the existing property is their current location?
This property is proposed right here, and they're currently up here.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Seeing none, we'll have the applicants come forward. We have to do this again since it's a different application. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Please state your names and address for the record.
Sure. Elizabeth Lum, counsel for applicant. I am at 120 South Central Avenue, Suite 700, St. Louis, Missouri, 63105.
Okay.
I'm Jim Lozey with Western Ready Mix, 323 Josephine Road, Wentzville 63385.
Okay, go ahead.
Sure, and if I can kind of click through what you already saw, we are on to our conditional use permit application number 2111, which is for the proposed Lot 2A of the property at 615 Josephville Road. As Ms. Marr has discussed, the property is located in unincorporated St. Charles County. It's got Josephville Road immediately to the west, Highway A immediately to the east, and then just past Highway A is the GM plant. The surrounding properties are used, I think right now you can see the existing cement plant just to the north of the subject property. And the surrounding properties include other storage and sales facilities. So somewhat closer shot of the subject property. And again, a little bit further out, the surrounding businesses, of course, are the GM plant. There's a trailer distribution center, the recycling center, Camping World, and Clark Power Services, all of which are some kind of light industrial manufacturing or storage type business. And then the properties that are not occupied are generally farmland. Currently, the property is zoned as light industrial. As set forth in your code, the operation of a ready-mix cement plant is a conditional use. I believe it's under 405-170 C10. As shown, the surrounding area is right near the city limits of the city of Wentzville. At this time, there are no plans to connect the subject property either to city water or to city sewer. The requested conditional use permit, again, is for the operation of a ready-mix plant. Right now, the plant is currently operating at 323 Josephville Road. I think somebody asked how far it was. When I checked it on the GIS website, it was less than a quarter mile. So it's, and I think as Mr. Losey said, literally just a couple hundred yards. So it's not that far. Now, the property in between the existing site and the proposed Lot 2A, I believe, was sold to a company by the name of TMM Wentzville about a year ago, and I believe a conditional use permit was issued for that property, again, for storage of equipment and things like that. So here is our proposed site plan showing, and I believe this is a black and white rendering of what Ms. Marr just showed, showing the proposed landscaping, buildings, the drainage area back in the back where the pipeline is. The staff recommended approval of the conditional use permit with the conditions that are listed here. Specifically, was mentioned a wetting system or wash-off area to keep the aggregate from being transferred onto Josephville Road. Our client currently at their location at 323 engages in a wash-off system, and I'll have you tell me if I identified everything correctly.
Yeah.
But they have a three-step process which involves washing the trucks off first at their wash-off station, and then from time to time they'll take the sweeper out to clean up the entranceway and pick up debris with the skid loader. So at this time, I don't believe there's any aggregate being transferred onto Josephville Road, and that is being cleaned up.
Yeah, it's minimal.
So, again, we've got the proposed concept plan. You can see that Lot 2A is to the north, with proposed Lot B just to the south, which we will be addressing in just a few moments. The applicant does propose some metal buildings, one of which will be the office. It's proposed to be a metal building with a barn-like design. And I think you've also mentioned that there would be some landscaping as shown on the site plan to provide some shielding from Josephville Road.
Yeah, lots of landscape.
So, all taken, the proposed use is compatible with the surrounding properties and businesses, many of which are the same kind or type of business. Because the space around the property is for related businesses, it will not interfere with the use and enjoyment of the properties, nor will it have a negative impact on property values or on the aesthetics, particularly with our clients' being agreeable to providing landscaping and attractive buildings.
Any questions for the applicant?
Do you anticipate any increased traffic with the move? Are you, like, well, we know that there's some projects coming in and we're gonna increase the traffic by 15%, 20%?
No, ma'am. We've been very consistent up there, and to be transparent about it, it's kind of hinges on GM, as you guys can imagine. If GM has a project like they do now, we tend to be a little bit busier, but then when they don't have projects, we tend to fall back. I only have 6 trucks at this location that are running. It is a shop, so there are, trucks that are broke down or need to be repaired or whatever are there, but we're only running 6 trucks out of there on a consistent basis, so.
Okay.
And we utilize Josephine Road right now, obviously.
Okay. And then I'm assuming your storage is mostly just for your equipment?
It will only be for my equipment. And not to expand on this, but my idea here on the barn was, first, I really like it, the look, and it fits the agricultural area. And we've always been good neighbors, we always will be good neighbors, so I would anticipate putting as much blockage so that no one can see back. And then, of course, on the Route A side, that's already grown up, so I'll be honest, I don't know if anybody's gonna know we're there, other than a nice-looking barn office.
What are your plans for your existing property?
We rent it right now. We rent
you
the-
rent it, you don't
Yeah,
own it.
that's the reason why we'd like to buy this is, quite frankly, we're just getting tired of paying rent. And so, I'm being transparent. So, we'd like to build on this. This is much smaller than what we're on now, but we just don't, this is plenty of space for us. And it's, project's gonna take us a year or so to get it done, but I think once it's done, we'll all be very proud of it.
So I do have a question. So you don't have any kind of crusher or anything on there? You just,
No, sir.
so do you just get the raw materials and
Yeah,
mix
so
them
just
there?
a little bit about a concrete plant. It's
Yeah.
basically, think of a cake. There's a bunch of different recipes.
Right.
What goes into concrete is rock, limestone, comes out of the earth. Sand comes out of the earth, cement, which is mainly limestone and water.
Okay, so I mean, you're not doing any
No.
heavy crushing or noise or anything like that? Okay.
That's right. And to address too, there is a washout system on there already, if we go back to that one plan. So as the trucks, and I can I walk up there and kind of show you guys just real quick?
Sure.
Go back to the concept drawing.
Oh.
I want to take the microphone.
Yeah.
I'll speak loud. Can you guys hear?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so this is the shop, this is the concrete plant, the trucks load right there. So the trucks will load with the material, come out here, back into this washout area right here, where we get an angle, and they'll wash out the entire back of the truck, the tires, everything, before they exit and come back out on Josephine Road.
And is that area paved with gravel or?
No, sir, I'm proposing, and I know a guy in the concrete business, so
Yeah,
it worked
okay.
out okay. But we're gonna pave the entire thing. The whole thing's gonna be concrete. I was thinking about asphalt, but I said, maybe not today.
Fair enough, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll open the public hearing for CUP 21-11. Anyone here wishing to speak regarding this conditional use permit request? Anyone? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing for CUP 21-11. Anyone have any additional questions for the applicant? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve CUP 21-11. Is there a motion?
So moved with the conditions that the county staff has recommended.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion? Second. We'll give this to Mr. Jackson. Make sure he's awake. Ms. Barr, how do you vote?
Yes.
Got her this time. Mr. Hollander?
Yes.
Ms. Bamer?
Yes.
Mr. Clary?
Yes.
Mr. Cornwell?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Fromm?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Next item on our agenda is conditional use permit application number CUP 21-12. Property owner is Birdie Incorporated. The applicant is Bruce Kinder of Wilkie Properties Truck Storage. Requested use is automobile, boat, truck, and recreational vehicle storage. The property zoning is light industrial district. Parcel size is 3.0 acres. The location is 2115 Josephine Road. which is the south half of Lot 2B on the west side of Josephine Road, south of Mexico Road, and east of the General Motors plant located in Council District 1. Staff.
All right, so now I'm going to move to Lot 2B, just to the south of this property. As mentioned, it is for automobile, RV, and truck storage, boat and RVs and truck storage. Although it just says truck storage on here. Basically, what this applicant is proposing is two separate uses. The first use is a construction building up front. That does not require a conditional use permit. They will have some equipment coming and going, which will be accessory to this office building, but does not require a conditional use permit in light industrial zoning. The applicant is also proposing to, they will be meeting their 35-foot setback with appropriate landscaping. I did not mention the front landscaping will always be required along the frontage along Josephine Road. However, between industrial properties, no berming or landscaping is required. So this applicant is proposing a fence around the property, and the storage would take place in this area and also under a covered building. Under the covered building, there would be approximately 20 items such as boats, trucks, RVs, and then out in the main part of this area, right now they are asking for 45 vehicles, up to 45 vehicles to be located there. Again, they're meeting their detention stormwater required area. Both of these properties, which I didn't mention on the last one, but they will both have to have a septic system for their office building. The Building Code Enforcement Division will work with them on that, and water will also be obtained, I believe, by well. They may be using, well, the previous one, even though we're not talking about that under hearing and oath right now, would possibly use trucked-in water. This one would be reliant on a Simply well system, since it's just for the office use in there. And I don't believe there's going to be a large amount of personnel going into that building. The entrance into the parking will have a Knox box for emergency access. And with that, staff is recommending approval. Sorry, this time I will mention there are 6 conditions that staff is recommending. A site plan in conformance with the attached concept plan. Trees shall be maintained in a healthy condition. No hazardous materials may be stored on the property as determined by the county's Building and Code Enforcement Division directors. All vehicles must be maintained in operable condition. Exterior lighting shall utilize full cutoff fixtures, and no conditional use shall become active until all conditions of approval have been met. Staff has received no letters.
Any questions for staff?
So on these conditional use permits, if for whatever reason, because we've approved a lot of these storage units, I don't know that there's any formal absorption study that's been done on that type of unit, but is there any other use or interim use that's allowed other than what we're specifically voting on for this particular facility?
Well, as mentioned, an office building could be located in general commercial zoning. So that would be a permissive use. And I don't know that if they plan to expand. Any heavier uses, again, would probably require annexation and utility access for water and sewer. So in the county, they tend to stay, unless they have those services, they tend to stay along the low impact traffic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for staff? Hearing none, we'll ask the applicant to come forward. Get you both at the same time again. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your names and addresses for the record.
Bruce Kinder, 215 Josephine Road.
Okay. Elizabeth?
Elizabeth Lum. I'm at 120 South Central Avenue, Suite 700, St. Louis, Missouri, 63105.
Okay, go ahead.
Sure. So starting again, this is the application for a conditional use permit for, can we get, there we go, for Lot 2B, which was, which will be shown on the plat that was just approved under PRE 2112. Again, this is the site location, located in a light industrial area surrounded by Josephine Road, Highway A, with the GM plant to the east. Again, there's a closer shot. Surrounding properties are used for the GM truck plant. There's a trailer distribution center, the recycling center, Camping World, and Clark Power Services, all of which are some form of light manufacturing, industrial, sales, or storage type use. Currently, the property is zoned as L1, which is light industrial. Outdoor storage of boats, trucks, and recreational vehicles is a conditional use under, I believe, Section 405-170C1. Again, the property is right near the Wentzville city limits. There are no plans, or the applicant will not be using city-provided water or city-provided sewer. There will be a septic system and a well. The requested conditional use permit, again, is to operate outdoor storage facility for trucks, boats, and RVs. Staff recommended approval of the conditional use permit with the conditions listed here, which I believe there are no objections to. The proposed concept plan, as shown by staff, again, this is the southern part of the newly created Lot 2. Shows a metal office building up near the front with a large garage for the storage of approximately 20 vehicles towards the back of the property. There's another shot of the concept plan. Again, you can see the drainage areas and the proposed buildings. The buildings proposed by the applicant would be metal buildings. The office building, the front, would be a bit larger, and again, would have an appearance, kind of a barn-like appearance, similar to what the previous applicant had, with the garage in the back being three-sided. So you can kind of see what it might look like there. Once again, this satisfies the criteria for a conditional use permit in that it is compatible with the surrounding properties. It will not inhibit the use or enjoyment of the surrounding property owners, will not have an effect on property values or the aesthetics, or inhibit the development of the property. And as stated before, I believe the property which is directly to the north of Lot 2A, which is not shown here, you can see it there a little bit in the middle, was purchased by TMM Wentzville, and if I'm not mistaken, there was a conditional use permit approved for a very similar use for that property. So again, this won't be anything different than what is already there. If you would like to add?
Yeah, I have been renting at 215 Josephine for over a year now. That's where I've been running my office out of. And when the property came available, I didn't need that much property, and Jim had come to me and proposed that we go together and split it like you're seeing right here. And with me not needing 3 acres, that's why I want to put the RV storage in there and stuff like that, and then keep it separate to where my company will work out of the office and then have its own storage area up in the front left corner.
With your sort of open-faced metal building that...
Here.
What is the proposed height?
I think 14 foot on the openings of the building.
Okay, so you're not gonna, you won't be storing like Class A,
Like for
recreational?
RVs and stuff, so people can keep them out of the weather
Yeah,
and
but not
stuff.
the big Class A buses.
Oh, no.
That would require
Yeah, no.
another 20,
No,
24 feet
no.
or higher
No.
storage. Yeah. My pull behind fifth wheel would fit, yeah.
Yes.
I don't have one, but
No.
if I did.
So the lot will be gravel, or? what
Yes,
will
the
serve-
entrance would be concrete and the lot would be gravel then.
But you know
Okay,
somebody that does concrete,
Yeah,
though.
I know.
I know there's a concrete developer real close to here,
Yeah.
by the way. And then the surface of the building, is that gonna be a concrete floor, or is that gonna be also gravel? Where you're gonna be storing the?
Storing the RVs?
Yeah.
That would be gravel.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now open the public hearing for CUP 21-12. Is there anyone here wishing to speak regarding this application? Anyone wishing to speak regarding CUP 21-12? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing and bring this back to the commission for consideration. Anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, Chair will entertain a motion to approve CUP 21-12. Is there a motion?
I move to approve it with the conditions listed by the county.
Terry
being met.
makes the motion, Mr. Hollander made the second. Ms. Barr, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Cornwell?
Yes.
Mr. Fromm?
Yes.
Mr. Clary?
Yes.
Ms. Bamer?
Yes.
And Mr. Hollander?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The application passes. Okay, let me get back to the agenda. Now I gotta figure out where I'm at. Yeah, now we're at preliminary plat for Hunting Keller Creek subdivision, 35 Laurel Hill Road. The application number is PRE 21-06. The property owner developer is Chad A. Keller. Engineer surveyor is Cardinal Surveying and Mapping Incorporated. The property zoning is R1E, single-family residential district. Proposed lots is 2. The parcel size approximately .80 acres. Location is on the southwest corner of Laurel Hill Road and Hunting Creek Road, located in Council District 4. Staff.
All right, as mentioned, this property is located right here at the southwest corner. This is Laurel Hill Road, and then this is Hunting Creek Road going into Hunting Creek subdivision. Originally, this parcel was part of Hunting Creek subdivision, but approximately 20 years ago, back in the day, some of these subdivisions did not have not-for-profit homeowners associations, so sometimes their property would get sold on the courthouse steps if taxes were not paid. I'm not sure that that's the exact background on this, but this did get parceled out. Consequently, staff did not we do not consider it still part of this subdivision, although technically it's listed as part of the old common ground. But the owner lives at 35 Laura Hill Road, so he has adjusted and is in process of adjusting that boundary. So this is not accurate right here. The plat better represents how these 2 tracts will be divided and how this line has been moved over. And I'm not sure if it was moved upwards, but the main development, the 2 homes, would be located right here. They would not be part of the Hunting Creek subdivision, but they are going to be located on that street, which tends to be a slower speed limit, 25 mile per hour. So adding the 2 additional driveways on that road is not something similar as to adding 2 on Laura Hill Road. So staff has reviewed There is, the property is going to be divided all the way back, so they'll have a very odd-shaped lot, but this is really not usable ground. It kind of goes down and then eventually drains to the creek. There is a private drainage easement across the two properties down here that the two future homeowners will have to maintain and be aware of. So they are granting, there will be access to those easements based on this plat. So staff has reviewed this. It does meet the technical requirements for a plat in St. Charles County, and staff is recommending approval.
Any questions for staff?
So on the track one, it shows a 20-foot setback. Is that all the setback is on Laurel Hill Road?
Yes, this is currently zoned R1E, this property, so no change in zoning is required. And under the current Unified Development Ordinance, the setback is 20 feet.
Okay, no, I was just looking from Laurel
Oh,
Hill
from
Road.
Laurel Hill Road,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what I meant. Is it 20 feet from Laurel Hill?
Yes, it will be required to be 20 feet from the
Okay,
property line.
I would have thought it was more, but okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions for staff? Seeing none, we'll ask the applicant to come forward. You solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
William Newman, 450 Timon Lane, St. Peters, Missouri, 63376.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
I'm just here on behalf of Chad Keller. He's got a nice residential lot, and it's just sitting there doing nothing, and he wants to divide it in two so he can build two properties, single-family homes.
Any questions for the applicant?
Is he going to build it himself, or is he going to have to?
Yeah, yep, and he's done it
Is he a
before. He's built some nice homes, actually.
Yeah.
But it's just, like I said, he's just planning on, it's going to be two homes.
Now Huntington Creek, since it's not part of that, it won't have to fall under if there's any restrictions in Huntington Creek. They can build whatever is, since it's
Should
county
not, it's
property.
unincorporated, and.
Right, so they could build
It
whatever,
was,
yeah.
it's
Okay.
been out of Hunting Creek for years.
Right. Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We will now open the public hearing for PRE 21-06. This is preliminary plat for the Hunting Keller Creek subdivision. Anyone here wishing to speak regarding this preliminary plat? Anyone? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing, bring this back to the commission for consideration. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Motion to approve PRE 2106.
Motion, is there a second? Mr. Bamer's a second. Mr. Cleary, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Cornwell?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Hollander?
Yes.
Ms. Barr? Yes. Okay, Ms. Bamer?
Yes.
Mr. Fromm?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Application is approved. The next application is preliminary plat for the re-subdivision of Tract 5 of the Hickory Dale Addition Plat 1. The application number is PRE 21-10. Property owner developer is the applicant here? How do you pronounce your last name?
I'm actually on behalf of him. I'm not entirely sure. I say Rieg, but that's...
Okay. The property owner developer is Ryan Reedy. Engineer surveyor is Alta Land Surveyors. Property zoning is R1E, single-family residential district. Proposed lots is 3. Parcel size is 1.25 acres. Location is on the south side of Hickory Dale Drive, approximately 500 feet west of Labonta Drive, located in Council District 7. Staff.
So this particular application, it's zoned R1E, single-family residential. They are requesting 3 lots, all in excess of 15,000 square feet. And I believe they're all at least 83 feet wide. So they would more than meet the technical requirements of a subdivision ordinance. There is 2 lots on the west side of the lot that appear to take access possibly through the western lot there, as you can see in the aerial here. We believe that the parcel lines are incorrect on our aerial map, and that that's actually on the properties to the west, but we would need the surveyor to clarify that for us, to make sure there's no easements needed there. But besides that, it does meet all technical requirements for a re-subdivision.
Any questions for staff?
Does that have all public utilities to it?
Yeah, it has all public utilities. It's got Missouri American Water, and it's got Public Water Supply District Number 2 for sewer.
Any other questions for staff? Hearing none, we'll ask the applicant to come forward. You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or in the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Joshua Dole, 3906 South Old Highway 94, Suite 600, St. Charles, Missouri, 63304.
Go ahead, Joshua.
So, as stated earlier, my client plans to take this one lot and just subdivide it into 3 lots that will meet the minimum requirements for the current zoning district. To clarify on the access road, I did want to show this preliminary plat that we submitted, which is, okay, here we go. So, in overlaying our survey onto the GIS site, we did discover that it was over and that should not be an issue or a concern or need an easement. It's actually, I believe, about a foot or 2 away from our property line, so that gravel road should not be an item of issue, so.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
It sounded like you overlaid it. It shouldn't be a problem, but did you run a title on it to see what kind of easements?
I do have a copy of title here, but I did not see any easements filed for it.
Okay, very good.
He's got an Alta that's showing.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? Seeing none? Thank you, sir. We will now open the public hearing for PRE 21-10, re-subdivision of Tract 5 of Hickory Dale Addition of Plat 1. Anyone here wishing to speak regarding this application? Come forward.
I think it would pick up the road. Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, that's what I was concerned about.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or in the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Tim Von Clote, 956 Lands End Circle, 63304.
Okay, go ahead, Tim.
My property backs up to this property. I'm a little low tech. How's this thing work?
It'll come on.
And I'm right here. And we have an extreme water runoff problem from this property, all of us down Lands End Circle here. And I'm concerned with this being divided and more houses going in there, the problem's gonna get worse. I mean, here's a picture from July 10th. And you can see the water backing up to my fence. It wasn't an extreme rain, but it was a good rain. And this isn't the worst it's ever been. And all this water comes off of this property. And I'm the original owner, I've been fighting it for 25 years. You can see I'm getting a little tired of it. And with them subdividing this property and putting more houses in there, I'm afraid this problem's gonna worsen. And that's my major concern, maybe they could put a sewer line in the back and pipe it to their street or something like that. But, like I said, I'm afraid it's gonna get worse.
Any questions?
So the property isn't developed right now. Where are they getting the water from?
There's a slight hill, so I don't know.
So it's kind of, okay.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak regarding this application? You solemnly swear or affirm that you tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings and the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do, yep.
Please state your names and addresses for the record.
Cliff and Sue McGeehan. We live at 960 Land's End Circle. We live next door to Tim.
Okay.
And the water problem's the same in our house, our place too, that he has. But there's also a lot of overgrowth at the back between our property and the proposed property. It's very overgrown with a lot of poison ivy, honeysuckle. It keeps coming over the fence. It's pretty ugly. She has, well.
I have pictures on my phone. I didn't bring one with me.
So we're hoping that if they do this, I mean, we're not against the development, but if they do, they clear all that out. Because it is a problem. It really is.
So we are right here, and this is where Tim is. So this is where the development will be. And when it rains, all the water comes from right up here, and it flows between 960 and 964, and then goes down into our yards, and then just continues down like that. And it's slowly been eroding our yard since we've been there for the last 7 years.
So on the lots next to this proposed change, 539, like 520, 510, or is any of that water coming off onto you guys too? 530? It's to
One's
the.
next to it.
Yeah, they're right next to it.
I don't know those people, because,
Yeah, but water's coming from theirs too? Is it sloping off of their backyards too?
oh, into Tim's? I don't know, is it? That guy behind you?
Is it just this property you guys are having problems with water on, or is it all the properties around
Well,
it?
actually, like right where we're at, when we put a fence up, so we're right here at 960.
Right.
And we put a fence up this past year and found that there was a huge, like, big drainage pipe, and it went down on the side of our property also into our yard.
Right.
And we didn't know anyone to contact because the person had died and, you know,
It was empty, the place.
It was empty,
for a
so-
while.
Is
we
it
didn't
coming off
know.
this property you're saying, the drainage pipe, or is it
Yeah.
just in your backyard?
yeah,
it's draining
it's draining
into our
into our backyard, and I think that has helped creating the problem going
Okay.
into Tim's as well.
Okay.
So I think it's coming from two
So
places.
if they could correct this, you'd be fine with the development then, right? If
Yeah,
they can
what?
correct the drainage problems,
They could if they,
well, they should, I mean,
Yeah.
there's some
Yeah.
ordinance
but we
about
didn't have anyone
water
to
runoff.
contact because
Yeah.
the person had deceased.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can contact the county on these things too.
Yeah, because it drains down, but it also drains a little to the east. It's kind of sloped to the east, so it
Yeah.
kind of starts, I don't know how much water he gets in the neighbor on the other side of us, but it kind of comes down. And like I say, both of me and Tim's yard, we get
Yeah.
flooded.
Yeah,
anytime
so,
it
I mean,
rains.
we've had this in subdivisions, and what they do is they berm it and try to get it to flow a different direction.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
you do. I mean, I've done it in our neighborhoods. I've had problems like that too, and we
Well,
work with it.
that'd be awesome because this guy here, this 964 guy, his yard gets it too.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And he's like right behind, right there, and that's where all the weeds and everything are, and,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking if there's water running off those other
Sir,
lots.
sir,
That's why I'm asking if there's
No, I'm
water
asking,
running off those other
the
ones.
next door neighbor next to Tim, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So that's why I'm asking if you live at, was it 960?
yeah, we're 960, Tim is 956.
So you guys don't know if there's water coming off those other lots though, right? Even your neighbors, is any water coming off the
We
neighbors?
don't know exactly where it's coming from, but when
Okay.
it rained the other day, we just saw the whole river flow
Okay.
all the way from the back development.
Okay.
Down through 964, 960, all the way through to Tim's.
Okay.
So do you get runoff from the properties to, labeled 530, that's right next to 536 and 520? Do you get runoff from those properties?
Well,
Right there, those one, right there, yep.
yeah,
Those
I don't
two?
know, because I'm here. I don't get any from him.
Okay.
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 But they're higher up too than us, so I don't know if that adds to it. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thanks, sorry.
No, you're
It's
fine,
okay.
you're fine. Anyone else wishing to speak regarding this application? Seeing no one, we'll ask the applicant to come back.
So at this time, the client does not plan to build on these lots. It is just purely the subdivision of the land that we're applying for and no plans to build. So I'm not sure how pertinent that is in regards to drainage and foliage, but that would be that.
Well, I mean, if water's running off and you do build there, you will cause water to run off even more onto other properties.
Of course.
One of the things that we've tried to do in this commission, and probably even county council, is try not to add more problems to neighbors, because it will, and you'll have very unhappy neighbors and people living in those houses.
Could this be considered with a building permit or later on down the road when development is proposed?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, you guys.
So I know that you're not allowed to discharge water onto a neighbor's property directly.
All right.
But as far as actual mitigation factors during a residential building permit, no, I'm not aware that we have any of those.
Can we make that part of it, of this preliminary plat? As a condition?
I will tell you, when we review a plat, a preliminary plat should be considered a concept
Right,
again.
yeah.
Once we move forward, there will be subdivision improvement plans
Yeah, that's right.
required.
Okay.
And that's when our
Right.
engineering division will take a look at that and make sure that increased water runoff does not occur.
Does our new runoff standards will come into play?
They may by the time this plat gets to that point, if they're not intending to
Have those been
develop further right now.
They've already been approved.
They were
You
approved.
guys have got them approved?
Okay.
Good work.
So just to give you guys a little bit of, comfort, we've been working on this for years and years, and so with the staff and that we have, they're going to look at it and make sure that you're not going to get additional runoff from those properties. It's just one of the rules. We don't want water coming on to other people's property when we have building like this. And there's new rules in place. I don't know all of them, but it's just for comfort reason, you should be, you probably, it's going to be better. That's the goal, is to make it better for you guys too. So hopefully that is. But if you're having problems with water, come down to the county and talk to them, see if there's anything they can do. I don't know all the departments that have stuff to do, but that's what I'd recommend. I'm not sure which department is responsible for something like that, especially if you've got a drainage problem.
It'd be community development.
Community development. So you're coming to this group. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you,
Mhm.
appreciate that.
Any other questions?
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay.
No, I think as long as they're going to be addressing that at the time
Yep.
the development would
Yep.
come in,
Yep.
and if they can address it with the county.
I mean, it's a problem now. It can only, it should only get better.
Well, now they know there's an owner that they can contact.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. Let's see, where am I at here? Okay. So we'll bring PRE 21-10 back to the commission for consideration. Is there any other questions, comments?
No, I just think that, by dividing this into three and then they take the next step, that things could get better rather than just remain the way they are.
Yeah, I think 3 homes on this size lot is very, very good idea, and, I think it sounds like that the subdivision will be addressed by the county in terms of the drainage at the time a development plan comes in, so I think it seems solid.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve PRE 21-10.
So moved.
I'll give him the motion, and Mr. Hollander the second. Mr. Cornwell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Bauer, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Bamer?
Yes.
Mr. Clary?
Yes.
Mr. Fromm?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Hollander?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, that gets us down to our continued items. So our next application is a rezoning request, North Point Prairie Road. Application number RZ 21-08. The property owner is the Howard Chilcutt Trust. Applicant is Joseph Pringer, registered agent for KJ Storage LLC. Current zoning is C1 Neighborhood Commercial District. The requested zoning is C2 General Commercial District. The 2030 master plan recommends low-density residential uses, 1 to 4 units per acre. Parcel size is approximately 3.43 acres. The location is on the southeast corner of the intersection of North Point Prairie Road and Highway 61, near the cities of Wentzville and Flint Hill, located in Council District 1. Staff.
Okay, so this property is currently zoned C1, and just a little history on how it got there. In 1987, the property was rezoned from agricultural to C1, and the intent there was to have like an antique store type storefront at that location. For whatever reason, it was never realized, and later that same year, they did a conditional use permit for a single-family dwelling unit on the property. So that's what you see there on our number system on the map. And that single-family home was never constructed for whatever reason. This particular request to rezone to C2 general commercial does not currently match with our future land use plan. The future land use plan does show for this property to be low-density residential east of North Point Prairie. Lands to the west do show commercial, but they are towards that hub of Highway W and the other highway there. So, on that point, it does not meet the future land use plan. And then, in the second point that we have is there's a major highway improvement plan that's proceeding forward here. MoDOT has a plan of putting in some roundabouts there at the Highway W intersection, and they will be running outer roads on either side of that highway, and removing the intersection there at North Point Prairie from Highway 61. So that would reduce access to this property and force it to be on the outer road. But also in part of that, it would take approximately half of the property for right-of-way. So as a result of that, staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend denial for this zoning map amendment because it's inconsistent with the 2030 future land use plan and is not supported by a planned upgrade of Highway 61 with the construction of a service outer road.
Any questions for staff? Seeing none, hearing none, rather, we will ask the applicant to come forward. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your names and address for the record.
Joseph Pringer, 1262 Peruke Ridge Drive, Wentzville, Missouri, 63385. Yeah, or do you want to state your name?
Oh,
Larry Walker with Bax Engineering, 221 Point West Boulevard, St. Charles, Missouri, 63301.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, like staff said, we're proposing to put a storage facility right there, outdoor storage. And when we were here in May, we had buildings proposed for the site. We were going to do, mini storage. And we had just previously, the week or two before the meeting, we had found out about the Highway 61 project, the outer road. So we removed the buildings and just basically using this property as a transitional property, until future needs are needed or, for the improvements for that need. I know the 2030 is leaning towards low residential, but I can't say this for a fact, but I have a feeling that that's not going to, because like the 2030 plan shows that all residential, but right underneath that subject property existing zoning box, that's Ameren's substation. So I highly doubt that's ever going to be residential. And just to the north of that is a 30-acre tract, Norman Howe, which said he was going to write me a letter of recommendation. I don't know if he did or not, but he's for this project, and he has high-powered transmission lines going through there. So that'll never be residential. So I don't see how that I don't see how the city would ever annex that, like Mr. Doug Forbeck from the city said. I don't see that happening with the Ameren substation right there. And it's right on the highway. I don't see who's going to want to live directly on the highway. And as far as taking over half of the property, from what I saw from the plan, was 110 foot off the current shoulder. I think the property line is in the neighborhood of 75 feet to 80 feet off the current shoulder. So you're only talking about another 30 feet, which isn't a huge deal for me if this were to go through, and that was kind of some of the reason why I removed the building, so it wouldn't be in the way of a future project.
Questions for the applicant?
So this, I don't know if this is the appropriate place to ask questions about, so you just want to put a lot there to park on?
For an outdoor storage facility, yes, just boats and RVs and.
Okay.
It would be gated, fenced, lit, security cameras, and we've proposed, I think it was 50 trees around it, which I would almost propose leaving what's there. You can hardly see it from the highway with all the weeds and brush that's there now. I mean, it wouldn't do me any good, but it might do the neighbors some good. But, I've spoken with all my neighbors. Mr. Watson directly across the street, the small square. Mr. Karen Brock that owns 55 acres, I spoke with him. Beck's property's on the other side of the Ameren property. I spoke with him, and I talked to two neighbors on the other side of the highway, and everybody was for the building, whether or not they wrote a letter like they said they would. That is what it is, but I didn't find any opposition,
There's opposition.
Okay.
So how many, now when you're, and I know we'll probably get into this a little bit about the conditional use permit, but how many storage lots or spots are you looking to add?
There's approximately 100 to 105. I think on this plan, there's 103. So this is the subject property here, which is about 3.4 acres, which if you go to, now this is the comprehensive, the 2030 plan. That parcel is right here, existing zoning commercial. So there's about 103 lot storage spaces on that property that we're proposing.
That's a lot of cars in an already congested area.
Right, but these storage, I don't know if, I've been doing a lot of storage lots lately. I tend to look at these things, but, and have got some information from the Traffic Institute and that for different municipalities. And for a facility of this size, from say 99 units to about 400, I think it is, they estimate 15 trips a day, roughly. So it is actually a fairly low impact use. I mean, whenever I look over at one, I think, I want to say 95% of the time, I don't see anybody in these storage lots because there's just not a lot of traffic. And, talking about, just real quick, back to the zoning, this is the 2030 plan. I want, if everybody, and this whole red area is proposed commercial, and there is some existing commercial up at Highway W, coming all the way down the frontage of 61, even with some multifamily, as another transition from commercial to multifamily before you get what they're proposing as low-density residential. So for some reason, this 3-acre lot was left as low-density residential, which is 1 to 4 units per acre. I have to question, why that was. Was it an oversight, or was it truly just everything south of Point Prairie is just going to be low-density residential? But this zoning is, even though it's not really shown on this, our zoning is existing C1 zoning. So we are requesting that zoning change. But typically, right along Highway 61, you would, or any major highway like that, you would have some type of transitional zoning before you got the low-density residential. So even though we aren't complying with that plan, I have to question the validity of calling that a low-density residential for just a couple hundred feet off of the highway,
Any other questions for the applicant? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now open the public hearing for rezoning request RZ 21-08. Anyone here wishing to speak regarding this request?
I didn't fill out the card yet, but I'll do that before I leave.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is John Fitzpatrick. I live at 102 Talon Court, Winsville, Missouri, 63385. I can show you my property where I'm located up there, if you leave that diagram up there. I'm not opposed to, developing and all that stuff coming through. However, this was kind of tried at another end here, and I'll state some of those things why I would not want that to be there. In fact, I'll walk over here. I can talk about
okay.
a lot of kids. My property located, I had a little pointer thing. It's up there.
The serve button on that little clicker on the right.
Get you right dot. This one right here? Center button. Oh, there you go. That's perfect. Okay, my property is right here, and my neighbor right there, and my other neighbor right there, their property backs up to the highway. Now, it's almost less than a couple of weeks, we have an accident because of this highway right here, where it makes this bend right here. I mean, there's been the tractor trailer truck that dropped alcohol there, and this can all be verified through the state of Missouri, the St. Charles County, and the Winsville Police. They're always down there. I go down there and just take a few pictures, because anytime it rains, we've got an accident. I took pictures of then Channel 4 and I think Channel 2 flew their helicopters out there to look at all this. And this is already a highly trafficked area with accidents. In fact, we were looking at something because tonight being at this right here, I heard where they were proposing from up this way up here to put an outer road back up this way and use the crossover. And they're talking about doing those U-turn lanes. Well, those don't work the way that they think they should. My question would be, once you start trying to park units in here, where you get off the highway right here, MoDOT didn't increase the rundowns like they said originally on the thing right there. Now, I know what the size of most of those fifth-wheel motorhomes are. Okay, they're not all going to turn the same day, I realize that. But there's going to be a constant traffic. My concern is, we've already got accidents right there, so unless they're going to build that outer road that comes all the way down here and connects down at Highway P at Flint Hill,
It's not going to happen.
that road up there, and do it on the other side right there, because then they've got an overpass. Because the U-turn, the people coming southbound on 61, when they make a U-turn to go back supposedly that thing, they are in the traffic lane of the people trying to cross over the highway.
Yeah.
Well, we have to get on the highway right here at McHugh Road, and that's a crossover that they left open. I can't tell you how many accidents have been there. My next door neighbor was hit by a car making supposedly that U-turn lane there. But the problem I see that's happening is you increase that traffic, and without the proper roadways right there, you're going to have more turning traffic, which is going to increase the accident level. So when you get to that, you've got St. Charles County, you've got the state of Missouri, you've got the Winsville School District, all have buses, and if this is all going to be residential, there's going to be lawsuits down the road for St. Charles County, the state of Missouri, and the Winsville School District when a school bus gets hit on the highway because they can't get on and off properly. Is it going to happen? I don't have a crystal ball, but I understand from listening to what you said tonight about all the other areas that they have storage units in. I mean, I'm not opposed to people having developments and stuff like that, but I call it a common sense thing. So unless the state, MoDOT, is going to put in that outer road to come down along here to allow the traffic to be able to cross over the overpass and do that, it's probably the biggest mistake, because it's just lawsuits waiting to happen. And I guess I would always come back to the commission when those all happen. They say, oh, well, we shouldn't have okayed it. I'm saying, well, I was at this meeting and I told you so. I mean, I can think of, I lived in other areas, and I went to 2 state meetings, and one of them was involving the 270, 170, and I told them, I said, You elevated 6 lanes of highway and you expect people to cross over the highway? I've lived there all my life. I said, mistake. And I said, I'll be back to your next meeting when you decide to build the overpass and drop the highway back down. Sure enough, it took a tractor-trailer truck going over the top of cars and tying up the traffic, and guess what? They did exactly what I told them they should have done the first time. I'm not an engineer, but common sense is what I was brought up as a kid. So with this all being commercial area, this being residential area, because I know this is residential right here, I know the school buses come out, the kids in this subdivision are getting older, so there's more bus runs because you've got after-school sports, you've got midday kindergarten, all of that. And the potential is even up here to this area right up here is probably more residential here. So if that facility right there was built over here someplace in some ground, might be a better spot for it, because you're off the highway then, and you're not gonna have it, it's a smaller road. I don't know, what the potential is. But like I said, unless MoDOT is gonna build that outer road right there, there's gonna be a lot of lawsuits down the road. And I wouldn't wanna see these guys, if they own that property, getting sued, because it's a direct result if they don't also, I would think, if they don't make improvements too. So, that's a fifth one. I just now thought of it, thinking, well, take them into consideration too. So that's the only thing I have to say, and hopefully, I'll just go back to the old common sense. Let me fill out the card.
No, she's not.
Okay, who wants to follow that? Anyone else wish to speak regarding RZ 21-08? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing and bring the applicant.
I agree with him.
Okay.
Bring the applicant back. Any questions for the applicant?
Are you sure you want to build this here?
I think it's an excellent opportunity with the way Point Prairie's growing. North Point Prairie, a lot of subdivisions are going in there, and I think it would.
I can tell you that if I had a vehicle like you're proposing, I probably wouldn't park it there just because of the safety hazards.
Yeah, there's so
I'm
many
afraid you're going to
accidents
be sitting on.
I do agree 100% with what he's saying, and at the last meeting that we were attending, that they were going to start on those roundabouts next year at Highway W and get rid of that crossing there at Point Prairie, which would, from what I understood, they were going to put a service road between W and Point Prairie.
Eventually.
Yeah, you don't know when that's going to
It
happen.
could be 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, you never know.
That area is super congested. I talked to several of the people, this is my area, that live off of McHugh Road, across the road, the highway across from you, and then Eagle Point. And none of them are in favor of this, because the amount of accidents, at least none of the people that I talked to, I should clarify that. The number of accidents, the amount of traffic, I live right over in this area, so I see it. There's an accident probably once every 9 days. Some of it shuts down the highway for hours, especially going northbound. And then when you add those vehicles trying to come back on the highway, getting off might not be as bad of an issue, but getting back onto the highway, that corridor between McHugh and W and Point is a disaster. It's just a disaster. And until they fix it, I think it's only going to compound the problem.
And you haven't bought the property, right?
No.
Yeah, it's.
Okay.
That's a wise move.
Larry, in your earlier testimony, you said from your information you gathered from your sources, you estimated about 15 trips
Per day.
per day.
Per day, correct. From 100 to, it's either 399 or 499 units.
Okay.
They have it. It's a fairly low impact use, so. I know that still adds traffic, but if you were to come in with, I would say, I don't know the code off the top of my head, but almost any other development would probably generate more traffic than this.
Yeah.
Even with all the
I
C,
agree with
well, even
that.
with all the C1s.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But
The
that,
problem, no matter what's gonna go in there.
correct.
Yeah, because currently, it's zoned
Yeah.
neighborhood commercial. And
Correct.
so I'm looking at the uses
Yeah.
that someone wouldn't, they would not have to get our approval.
Right.
Their development plan, but you, right now, you could put 2 pages worth of, well, 3 pages worth of uses on there that would generate more traffic than this.
Correct.
Yeah.
I
I
agree
think
with
it
that.
also depends on the types of vehicles. Cars are much easier to get on and off the highway than RV, somebody pulling a boat, you know, those types of things, which they're looking to park there. That's a much different pullout than a car coming to a store.
But if you have 100 cars a day,
That'd be a very odd location to have an antique store,
So-
but anyway.
Well, I think some of the concern I had if you rezone to C2, then you open Pandora's box if this isn't an outdoor storage unit to other commercial uses.
Yeah.
So I think my objection to this rezoning is more just based on the comprehensive plan and kind of what the future land use map's showing, which is showing the highest and best use for this property being residential at this point. So until we see some more studies from that, I'm not comfortable recommending approval on something like this.
But do we think it's going to make residential with the Ameren substation there? And I mean, I'm sure Ameren's not going to sell out. They touch
Where
Point
is
Prairie.
that substation?
It's directly underneath that box. I work for Ameren, so I know it's
Okay.
there. It's, and there's a transmission line that runs through that 30 acres. So there's no way that's ever going to be residential. It's impossible. You know?
Yeah.
I understand that.
I've seen a couple of those in O'Fallon, but yeah.
Yeah, so.
It does happen.
I just don't see that staying. I don't see the 2030 use being a residential.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine there being a home wanting to be constructed on that little 3-acre lot. And you can see the edge of that substation, it's kind of a box down here. And
it's
then there's an access easement that runs out. And then is there not overhead power lines?
Yeah, there is,
All
on the
through there?
30
Yeah.
acres on Mr. Howell's property.
Just, you know, low-density residential directly abutting the highway. I mean, that's why you have the red commercial coming down as the buffer between 61 and the resident.
But you're talking about roundabouts there where it's more conducive at that point to commercial than further down where you don't have direct
Well, no,
access.
all
I mean, you
the-
do
all
right
the-
now,
all
but
the
if you
way
look
up
at the
to- all the
future
way- I don't want
improvements.
to argue, but all the way up to Point Prairie Road. So why did it stop there and it didn't include the 3 acres that was already commercial? I mean,
Yeah.
I understand that. I'm just saying that,
existing zoning.
yeah, I can see why they put the commercial where they did, staff, when they looked at this, because knowing that that's going to be more of an intersection area with those roundabouts, that's more conducive for commercial development than being further away from that. So,
Any additional questions for the applicant? Seeing none? Thank you. Bring this back to the commission for consideration.
You know, I think too, in addition to the things already discussed, there was a proposal for one off McCune Road a couple of years ago, and the safety issues that were concerned then are worse now. There's more development, more cars and things like that, and the large vehicles crossing over that highway when people, it's listed, I think it's 60, and people are probably doing like 80, I think it's problematic.
It is very problematic.
You live there too.
I live there, so I know firsthand.
Yeah, I mean,
I've seen accidents that are there, deadly accidents.
Mm-hmm.
My son was hit there and somebody trying to turn around. People who live in the subdivision they live in get in accidents. It's, until there is improvement done with the roads there, until the roadways come, it's adding that much more traffic is just not responsible, I don't think.
Any other comments? Chair will entertain a motion to approve RZ 21-08. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Hollander. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Jackson was the second. Mr. Cornwell, how do you vote?
no.
Ms. Bamer?
No.
Mr. Clary?
No.
Mr. Fromm?
Yes.
Ms. Barr, how do you vote? Mr. Jackson?
No.
No. Mr. Hollander?
No.
And I vote yes. Okay. Next. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is conditional use permit request, North Point Prairie Road, application number CUP 21-08. Property owner is the Howard Chilcutt Trust. Applicant is Joseph Pranger, registered agent for KJ Storage LLC. Current zoning is C1 Neighborhood Commercial District. That's not worded right. Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Requested zoning is C2 General Commercial District, which is not an issue. 2030 master plan recommends low density residential uses, 1 to 4 units per acre. The conditional use request is outdoor storage for automobiles, boats, trucks, trailers, and recreational vehicles. Parcel size is approximately 3.43 acres. The location is on the southeast corner of the intersection of North Point Prairie Road and Highway 61 near the cities of Wentzville and Flint Hill. Okay. So the current zoning is C1, and this is a conditional use request for the outdoor storage for automobiles, boats, trucks, trailers, and recreational vehicles. Located in Council District 1. Staff.
Okay, so staff will note that in this particular application, as the applicant had stated earlier in the meeting, they have modified this application to remove the mini warehouse self-storage off the western side of this lot. So we are now down to just the vehicle storage on this lot. I believe they mentioned it was 101 parking spaces that they're looking to have here. Again, staff will note that of the future potential highway project impact here could have a major impact on the property. Let's see here. Staff will also note that since Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend for denial on the rezoning, there may or may not be a basis for this conditional use permit once it gets to county council, because if they also recommend for a denial of the rezoning, then this would not be an applicable conditional use permit. So we will move forward and make a recommendation one way or the other, just in case council does vote to approve the rezoning. The typical land use impacts for a storage lot like this would be any kind of lighting that would be on the property, any kind of dust from the gravel parking areas. They would be required to have a dust mitigation process that they would outline in their site plan process. And some other issues may be noise from vehicles in the evening coming and going from the property. The property would be zoned, or would be screened from the highway and North Point Prairie by 51 trees, as you can see on the concept plan. In conformance with the concept plan, as shown in this plan, shall be submitted and approved by the council, or by the Community Development Department. That all illustrated trees be installed and maintained in a healthy condition. That all vehicles be maintained in an operable condition. That all exterior lighting on the site shall utilize full cutoff fixtures. And no conditional use shall become active until all conditions of approval have been met. And staff will also note that we received 2 comment letters, 3 opposition letters, and 2 support letters.
Any questions for staff? Being none, we'll ask the applicant to come forward. Okay. I'll swear you in again. You solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings from the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do.
Please state your name and addresses for the record.
Joseph A. Pringer, Wentzville, Missouri, 1262 Peruke Ridge Drive, Wentzville, Missouri, 63385.
Larry Walker, Bax Engineering, 221 Point West Boulevard, St. Charles, Missouri, 63301.
Okay, go ahead. I don't know if there's anything new you want to present that we've already.
I don't
I
think
think,
so.
I think we kind of covered the, a lot of that in the last hearing. With the conditional use permit and/or the site plan, as staff mentioned, the, fencing, screening, landscaping. We do have a basin on the east side for stormwater detention and quality, per the new ordinance that is approved. And again, there was 103 storage units or storage lots on this particular site plan. The only, we were showing 10-foot of right-of-way dedication as requested by staff on the east side of Point Prairie Road. And happy to answer any questions or additional questions that there may have, or any questions.
Any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We will now open the public hearing for CUP 21-08. Anyone here wishing to speak regarding this application for CUP 21-08? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing and bring this back to the commission for consideration. Any questions, comments? Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to approve CUP 21-08. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second? Is there a second? I'm not second, I can't do that.
Second.
Mr. Clary makes a second. Mr. Fromm, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Cornwell?
No.
Mr. Jackson?
No.
Ms. Barr? No. Mr. Hollander?
No.
Ms. Bamer?
No.
Mr. Clary?
No.
I vote yes. Application fails.
Chair, council, I just want to note that while the rezoning can be approved by council by a majority, this would have to be approved by a supermajority of at least 5. Correct?
Yeah. Now,
Just
this will-
five?
Yeah. Supermajority. And if Barney was here, he would inform us of that.
Oh, yeah.
Supermajority.
Now, this will be on the council's agenda of the August 9th meeting.
Yes.
Okay, the next thing on our agenda is to approve the minutes of the June 17th, 2021 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, sign aye. Aye. Minutes are approved. And then in other business is the adoption of Planning and Zoning Commission rules of procedure pursuant to section 400.100.5 of the county code. Councilman Wise will make his.
Yes, you remember from last meeting, that Commissioner Ellis had prepared some proposed rules. I went ahead and took those and also incorporated some requirements under our ordinances and other local state law and incorporated them into a resolution here. It is just a draft resolution at this time. I wanted to present it for your review. I've created copies for everybody with also my information on it. If you all have any comments, questions, concerns, by all means, contact me. I'll be happy to answer them or address them. I'll also leave a couple copies for Maritza to give to the members who are not here at this time. We're looking to go ahead and post that and put a copy of the final draft on the agenda for the next meeting where it can be voted upon.
Now, is that something that then we would vote on at that meeting?
Yes.
And then it would still need to go to the council for?
No, you can vote on it, it would be established
Okay, we
here.
just vote on it ourselves. Okay.
One note on that is regardless of the number here, it has to be by a majority of the entire, the entire commission, which means it would need 5 votes for approval regardless of the number here.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other staff, any announcements?
Staff has no extra announcements.
Good for you.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.